Now I know that's not typically how we start off this podcast, but that was just a little short footage of Elimination Chamber 2 years ago with me and my friend Bruce, and I just wanted to show that little fond memory of us together because Bruce cannot be with us at the moment at this time because he's dealing with the passing of a family member, which me and Josh, who's also here doing the podcast with me, I just want to send my condolences and thoughts and prayers to his entire family and say that we are here for him and hopefully you're there with the rest of your family and Godspeed, my friend. But yeah, I just want.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
of course, this is difficult for Bruce, but I believe that he's strong, and I believe he has faith, not just in God, but in himself. And if he doesn't, I believe God will give him faith. I think he'll be. I think he'll be fine. Obviously, this is a difficult time, but I believe in him. I believe in him just as much as God believes in him, just as much as he believes in God. I'm just grateful that he got to spend time with that family member for all the years he's had.
I don't think you could have said that any much more better than I did, or it's pretty much. I don't think any of us could really said that any better than one another. But yeah, both me and Josh are here for Bruce, and I was so close to not doing this podcast because I'm thinking I couldn't do this without him. But at the same time, I understand why Bruce had to step away for a bit, and he deserves that time to be on his own and to be with family members. But I also want to thank you at the same time for being on the podcast as well, Josh. I even talked to Bruce saying that should I still do this podcast, and in Bruce's own terms, he literally said, hey, I want you to have fun, and I want you to keep continuing what you do." So pretty much, he was saying, no matter what happens, the show must go on.
You just mentioning now that we have not talked about this beforehand, but you just mentioning now that you almost didn't do it, and Bruce gave you the okay, go ahead and do it, have fun. I'm like, okay, we got to do this, and we got to have fun. And honestly, I'm not here for the podcast. I'm here in a lot of ways for you. I'm here in a lot of ways for Bruce as well. And you saying we gotta have fun, that just makes me wanna have fun doing this podcast. And you know, I don't really give a fuck about the review or whatever. I'm just here chilling with my homie. So that's the type of vibe I'm gonna try to keep.
Well, in the words of Bruce and what he told me over through text messaging, I will honor his words and try to have fun with doing this podcast. And like as usual, the show must go on. So Bruce, this podcast is pretty much for you. Elimination Chamber 2021. Well, it was WWE's. I don't think it's his first pay per view. I could be wrong. I think it's like maybe yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's the second pay per view of this year. First was Royal
It's okay.
Rumble.
Most of them are forgettable. It's okay if you mess up.
Yeah, most, yeah, we're already having fun already. We're already taking jabs at WWE, but yeah, the Elimination Chamber. Josh, you want to give your initial thoughts on it?
Oh man, it was the best of WWE and the worst of WWE. And actually, for just not comparing it to the superior AEW, to the superior Japan Wrestling, and this to the superior NXT, this is actually by itself, comparing it to its own self. This was good. This was good, and I was pleasantly surprised. It did not feel like a Vince McMahon run ship. It felt like something that was a Triple H ran ship.
WWE's Elimination Chamber was scrapped, but
Oh shit!
and look, I'm sorry, I'm having
What?
fun right now, but I have fun at ranting about WWE, and that's probably not the way you expected for it to happen. But yes, I'm comparing this because I'm coming fresh off of NXT Vengeance Day, watching a little bit of AEW, and I've seen some highlights from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and when I watch this, it's just like, why?
I mean, okay. First of all, let me just cut you off for a second. I said comparing this to its own self. NXT is its own brand. Comparing the flagship shows, this flagship pay per view to the flagship show of SmackDown and Raw, It was good for its own standard. It was. It wasn't shit. It wasn't even shiny shit. It was bronze or something. You know, some kind of fucking metal, wood, I guess.
Well, if you put it like that, I mean, if you try to compare it to non other wrestling promotions, I get that, but I can't help but I have to compare it because wrestling is still wrestling. It's not going to be like two different brands of versions of it. It's just wrestling in general, and this pay per view was worse than Royal Rumble because if you saw Royal Rumble, I was all right with a few matches, but with this one, there was like I don't think there was. I'm actually looking it up right now. There are only 7 matches total, including the pre-show, and that out of all those 7 matches, there was only one match that I actually gave a little positive rate for, and that was it. Everything else was very low.
The Nia Jax match.
Ooh, then yeah, I would say the Nia Jax is the worst match, but we're gonna get to that one by
Uh,
one
yeah,
because
yeah.
do you still want to do the pre-show match?
No, I did not watch the pre-show because you said you didn't watch it, motherfucker. You said it wasn't shit.
I did
So
watch
I'm
I
like,
did
okay,
watch
I
it.
am.
I did
You
watch it.
did. Well, you told me you didn't. So I'm like, okay, I am watching that shit. I gotta spend 2 hours and 30 minutes on this shit. I'm not gonna spend any more. But it okay. I liked it. I liked the Elimination Chamber. The
We're talking about the first
I
match
didn't.
right now. The first
Yeah,
match with the Elimination Chamber match, and whoever wins that gets to face Roman Reigns for a Universal title later that night.
yeah. Uh, it was good, man. I don't think I've seen this before. I don't know if this was on the 2020 Elimination Chamber or the 2019 one, but they actually had interactions. It actually felt like human beings and characters fighting. Not vintage action dolls, but characters clashing, all wanting the same thing, and everyone gets a moment to shine. Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, King Corbin. Not really King Corbin, but everyone has their own moments to shine. They all have history with each other, and they all have history with Roman, and that gets played into the match from the beginning, from the entrances, where the commentators are are talking about all the shit that's the past and all that, and their goal to try to get the championship, and to the very end, where the winner wins. So that's the storyline that's weaved throughout the entire match, and it was really cool. It was really interesting. They're interacting with the pods, talking trash. You could see them, you could hear them. The camera angles are selling it very well, and it felt like there was actual character inside the chamber.
Oh, are
So
you?
I would give this match I would give the match a 8 out of 10.
Well, is that all you had to say about it?
Yes.
Okay, for my opinion, because I'm just gonna let you know, people, this is just my opinion. This is not anybody else's. But I can complain a lot about this match. I can complain about the elimination. I mean, first off, the elimination chamber, since the way it was built, I don't know how many years ago, but in comparison to the original, a lot of fans.
It looks stupid. It looks fucking retarded.
Okay, you're on. Okay, you're honest about that. Everyone complains that it looks stupid, but also everyone complains that it looks too safe. It looks like the wrestlers will never get hurt, and there has to be some physicality to this. But no, this is a safe elimination chamber match, and they started off pretty good. You had Cesaro and you had Daniel Bryan, both good technical wrestlers, and they were actually the most entertaining aspect to it. But the issue was the stipulation was why the hell would they schedule the winner of the Elimination Chamber that very night against Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship? Why couldn't they schedule that for the next pay per view for Fastlane? That way they would have built something up because you know what happens at the end? Daniel Bryan wins. But not also just that, Roman Reigns comes out the next moment and beats him to a pulp, and that's the end of the match. So pretty much Roman Reigns, I get it. He's coming out. He's playing the bad guy. We're gonna beat the shit out of him. I'm tough, but that's pretty much it. But Daniel,
It's so hilarious. He comes out immediately, right as the chamber is still being lifted. Daniel Bryan on his knees, and then all you hear is dunna, 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 and then Roman just coming out, beats him in 2 minutes.
The WWE posted on their Instagram and asked fans who is the most underrated wrestler right now, and many people, I even commented Cesaro, and even Cesaro has mentioned in Talking Smack, or I think it's like the pre-show of SmackDown, or somewhat to a pay-per-view, and he's talking about how he worked his way up, and now he's not getting a big push like all these other wrestlers, and he knows that he's underrated, and he even acknowledges that. And I'm thinking, well, WWE acknowledges that, but yet they don't even give him a WWE Championship opportunity. So it pretty much just shows that Vince does not trust Cesaro, and that pretty much just pisses off as fans. But it just shows that the Swiss Cyborg is never going to get a shot at the WWE Championship. I mean,
Yeah. First of all, now you're trying to convince me. Okay, okay. Everything you're saying is right. You're completely valid, but I still had fun. And that's the most important thing, especially with these gimmick matches. It has to be fun more than anything. That's why you do everything. It has to be fun. If it's not fun, no one's gonna watch it. So this was fun. I don't think Daniel Bryan should have won. I love Daniel Bryan as a wrestler. I think he's great. I think in any era he would dominate. But I feel like someone else should have won. I feel like it should have been Cesaro.
we all knew for a fact that Daniel Bryan was not even going to win. So, but then what happens after the match? Edge comes out, spears him, points to the sign, and says, "Hey, I'm going to challenge you at WrestleMania." So this whole point was not for the Elimination Chamber match. This was pretty much a this was pretty much just what's it called? Like it is filler for Roman Reigns to beat the crap out of somebody just to create a storyline between Roman Reigns and Edge. So the Elimination Chamber doesn't mean anything. My rating is much lower than yours. It is a 4.5 out of 10.
Okay, match number 3.
Yeah, match number 3 is Bobby Lashley defending his United States Championship on the line against John Morrison and Matt Riddle. But they call him Riddle, but I will never call him that because it's Matt Riddle. And I'm sticking to that, damn it. He also defends it against John Morrison, which John Morrison won in the Fatal 4-Way in the pre-show against Elias, Mustafa Ali, T-Bar, I mean, not T-Bar, Ricochet, because it was supposed to be Keith Lee, but Keith Lee had to get taken out of the match due to a real legitimate injury. Hopefully he makes a full recovery. But yeah, Matt Riddle was able to pick up the win by pinning John Morrison and not Bobby Lashley, gaining his first mid-card championship as the United States champion. So Josh, your opinion? So take it away.
The way they're booking Bobby Lashley, they should have done this since the beginning. He is on his game. He is a destroyer, a killer. He's big. He's athletic. He has those eyes and that face. It's like he looks like a monster. Book him like a monster. And they're actually doing it for once after all these years. It's two high flyers, one younger, one older, against a monster. And you could get really creative with that. And they did. The match, the wrestling was fun. It was enjoyable. Now, I must admit, I do not know anything about the storylines. And I don't know much about what's going on with anybody individually. But I do know it was a damn good match that I very much liked. And it felt like poetry in motion. So with that, I will give this a 8 out of 10.
You know how much as you said that you've enjoyed this match. I mean, I found this match to be quite decent, to say the least. This was the only good match that I liked from the entire night when it comes to this pay-per-view. But yeah, between Bobby Lashley, Matt Riddle, and John Morrison, which I've mentioned already. Did I actually mention that Keith Lee was injured? Yeah, I did. My bad. Forgive me on that. But yeah, I like the whole strategic thing about Matt Riddle and John Morrison teaming up to take down Bobby Lashley, because it's like, here is this big monster and it takes two of them to take him down. And John Morrison, he wasn't just there just to be a filler wrestler. I mean overall he really is, but he was able to have at least some characteristics and some moves to go in there. And I've seen John Morrison in other promotions. He does a good job, and I wish they could do more with him in the future. But yeah, this match was entertaining. It was decent. I kind of forgot that it was a no disqualification match when it comes to triple threat matches, because I'm surprised that he was able to take away the crutch and hit Bobby Lashley with it, or not Bobby, Matt Riddle hit him with it. And Matt Riddle was able to hit him, distract Bobby Lashley, which that probably took him a little longer than I expected. I expected him to come back in and interrupt the pinfall, but no. Matt Riddle came in, hit the I can't just think at the top of my head right now, but he was able to get the win, and I'm happy for Matt Riddle. Like I said, this wasn't a great super duper match. It wasn't the best. It was entertaining. It was decent. So for that, I'm gonna have to give it a 6 out of 10. Match number 4 of the night. It is the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships on the line between Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending their titles against Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler were able to pick up the win because Sasha Banks got distracted by Carmella's goon, which Nia Jax was able to pick up the win and retain their championships for that night. So, Josh, if you have your opinions on it, if you already know what to say, then be my guest.
First of all, Nia Jax. Oh man, I cringe every second. Every second she's on the mat. Every second she's in the squared circle. Every second she's outside. Every second she's picking somebody up or tossing somebody down. I cringe. She is going to hurt somebody or she's going to hurt herself. She needs to not be resting right now. She needs to get in the gym and get her body right and her body healthy because she looks bad physically. These 4 wrestlers, they should not be in the position they're in. They should be doing something else, something better. Sasha Banks, I want her in a great storyline. I don't want her anywhere near the tag team championships. And teaming up with Bianca Belair, I may not know the storyline behind that, but I want them to have a feud or feud with someone else. I don't want them as a team. I don't want them going after championships because that's a cap hold. They're so great. They have the ability to create great storylines and great matches. I don't want them facing against Nia Jax and a capped Shayna Baszler. Is that how you say her name?
Shayna Baszler.
Excuse me, Shayna Baszler.
Baszler.
Fucking shit! I put Blazer on my note.
Baszler.
God damn it, Ziggler.
Baszler.
Shit. Yeah, shit. Fuck, Blazer. Fucking shit. Yeah, I hated this match. I hated everything about it. 0 out of 10. -10. -10 out of 10. I hated it.
Are you finished? Because you just made my day, Josh.
I finished.
Woo! Josh always trying to find a way to make me smile and laugh. Oh man, wow! But yeah, this match did suck ass. There is no point of this championship match being in the card in general because here's the weird thing. Now, don't get me wrong. The women's tag team championship should be valuable. They should be on pay-per-views. But the issue is Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are already going to defend their championships against Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez on NXT coming up. So what was the point?
Jesus Christ. Wow, I did not know. Fuck this. Fuck Vince. Fuck him. Or whoever made them. Fuck this storyline. Fuck this match.
There was no point of this match being on the card, and I hated this match so much. You gave it like a -10. I'm going to be fancy with this. I'm going to give it a -0.
Oh, okay, that's like the ultimate. All right.
Match 5 of the night is once again another Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre defends his WWE Championship against AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, and Sheamus in the Elimination Chamber match. And Drew McIntyre was able to pick up the win by hitting a Claymore while AJ Styles was trying to go for the phenomenal forearm right in midair, and that's how Drew McIntyre was able to get the win. But I'm not going to focus on the ending just yet because there's something that happens after the Elimination Chamber match because that's going to be its own separate thing we're going to talk about. But as of right now, we're only focusing on the Elimination Chamber match. So, Josh, give your thoughts.
Okay, with this match, it was everything that the first Elimination Chamber match was, except better. You had some of those characteristic moments in the first Chamber match with Owens and Sami Zayn, like, oh, let's team up. with this, you had, oh, maybe Kofi Mania again. You had, oh, can the great AJ Styles once again pull something off? Origin, of course, Sheamus, McIntyre, Sheamus having like, oh, we knew each other for 20 years. Orton having history with all those wrestlers. And Hardy, which I don't think Hardy should not have been in this match. Should have been somebody else. So yeah, in terms of wrestling, in terms of character, in terms of camera angles, commentary, everything, put it all together, it was a good match. It was enjoyable, and I had fun, which is the most important thing.
Well, for a regular fan who doesn't really know much about the storylines, I can actually understand why you would be entertained by this. Nonetheless, I didn't think it was good storytelling because, like, look, you have AJ Styles. They're not doing much with him. They could put the title on him, but I highly doubt that. They're not going to give it to Jeff Hardy because, first off, Jeff Hardy's not doing anything. They're not pushing him. Kofi Kingston, they're not doing anything with Kofi. They gave it to Randy Orton already, but he lost it within not even less than a week. And then they're doing something with Sheamus where Sheamus and McIntyre were close friends. That was probably the only part that got interesting because I'm thinking it's probably going to be Sheamus because maybe Sheamus is friends with McIntyre and there's like this storyline where they're having like two best friends for over 20 years finally broken because of a title. I thought Sheamus was going to be the last person who was going to be between him and McIntyre, but nonetheless, I thought this match was pretty darn predictable. The Elimination Chamber is supposed to be a very risky, very not just career threatening, but also a chance that any wrestler has a chance to win the championship, and it's not going to be an easy way out. But knowing that there's no storylines with most of these wrestlers in the ring, I knew McIntyre was going to be coming out victorious because this was a filler match. This was not the purpose of who was going to come out championship. It was basically who is Drew McIntyre going to beat to go to WrestleMania with. For my final score, I'm going to give the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship a 5 out of 10.
Everything you said was correct, but I still had fun. I don't really have nothing else to say since you covered everything, so I would give this match a 8 out of 10. So, yeah.
I think that pretty much just sums up of what we can actually say about this entire match. But what we have to say now is not technically the shocker ending, but I saw this ending coming a long mile away. But it is Miz. Well, not just Miz. Bobby Lashley came in out of nowhere, beat the shit out of Drew McIntyre, laid him on the mat, and then when Bobby Lashley was about to leave, Miz comes out, cashes in his Money in the Bank briefcase, and gives him the. I like I said, I'm actually bad with names when it comes to finishers, but he was able to pin him 1, 2, 3, and Miz was able to win the WWE Championship for the second time in his career. I didn't like how he won the first time, but I'm actually glad he won the second time. This is a ending that wasn't shocking, but I saw it coming, but I was entertained. So, Josh, your thoughts?
I thought, oh shit. Okay, now it's gonna be Lashley against Drew. Maybe that's gonna be a WrestleMania main event. And then Miz comes out. I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna win. He wins. I don't want the Miz to be champion. I like Drew McIntyre as champion, and I wanted to see the next chapter for Drew, especially after he won in the Elimination Chamber. I wanted to see something. And I thought Bobby Lashley was going to be that something. I thought Lashley against McIntyre was going to be a thing, or Lashley against McIntyre and Sheamus was going to be a thing. And The Miz comes out and ruins my dreams. So, yeah, it was not surprising at all. They teased it in the promo, the package, what do you call that? The thing they do that they play.
It's pretty much a promo.
They teased them, and that tease came to happen.
Which sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think adding him in the promo was stupid because
I agree. Because now you think, oh, of course he's gonna jump in now.
you probably don't like the Miz, but I mean, me and Bruce, we actually support Miz being champion because the first time he was WWE champion, it wasn't that good. He had a bad reign, especially main eventing WrestleMania that first time. But this is actually the one time where Miz has actually improved as a person and as a character, to where he can call himself champion.
I'm done with it.
Well, that looks like that is the final thing for our podcast for Elimination Chamber 2021. Thank you guys so much for watching this podcast. If you like what you see here, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe here to the channel for more content. And until then, well, thank you so much, Josh, for being on the podcast. And until next time, well, we'll see you next time. Bye.